This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's newscast on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. The government's draft local content legislation is proposing to have Guyanese participate in 152 oil sector services so as to ensure maximum participation across the industry. In the document perused by Kaieteur, it was noted that oil companies as well as their subcontractor are expected to comply with the sliding scale targets for the respective sectors. Under petroleum agreement, the government is proposing oil companies in the upstream sector ensure 10% of their management staff is Guyanese at startup, with an increase of 20% in 3 years, followed by 25% in 5 years and 45% in 10 years. For supervisory staff, oil companies in the upstream industry are being asked to have 15% of their staff be made of Guyanese and have this increased to 65% in 10 years. All unskilled workers are proposed to be 100% from startup to a period of 10 years. And moving on, a 19-year-old man was yesterday killed by a bandit who had invaded his family's store called Deals on Electronics located at Strathspey on the east coast of Demerara. He was identified as Ganesh Prasad, also known as Chris. We understand that the youth was attacked and stabbed to his neck sometime after 16 hours. According to his father, Prasad was alone in the store at the time of the robbery while he, the father, was in another section of the building. He recalled that his son came running towards him holding his neck. He was rushed immediately to a private hospital but succumbed to his injury on the way. It is understood that the bandit stole Prasad's gold chain from around his neck along with cash from the store. According to the Ghana Police Force, based on intelligence received, its mobile patrol ranks were able to apprehend the suspect sometime after. And moving on, Keon King, now labeled as an ex-member of the GDF, yesterday pleaded guilty to being part of a multi-million-dollar gold heist which took place on Thursday, August 5th at Wallison Enterprise located on Gordon Street, Kitty. 3 gunmen posing as customers entered the premises that day, cuffed the employees with plastic zip ties and carted off jewelry, cell phones, $38 million in cash, and $20 million worth of raw gold. A tracker on one of the stolen cell phones assisted detectives in cracking the case as they were led to King's backyard, where they found $18 million of the stolen cash buried. King was one of the 3 suspects remanded on Tuesday, August 10th by Magistrate Shirley Isaacs Marcus for what detectives dubbed a well-orchestrated heist. And now let's tell you, a worried mom is seeking the public's help to locate her teenage daughter who disappeared on Wednesday after dropping off her brother at the Vredenhoek Primary School on the west bank of Demerara. Missing is 14-year-old Varshni Ramdas, a student of Windsor Forest Secondary School and a resident of Jetty Squatting Area, Vredenhoek. According to her mother, Ramdas was last seen around 11 hours wearing a pair of blue jeans, a grey top, and a pair of black slippers. That day, Ramdas and her mother had planned to go to Vredenhoek Secondary School to see if she could be transferred there. Anyone who might have seen Varshni Ramdas or knows where she is asked to call telephone numbers 603-8147, 673-3793, 636-3133, or the nearest police station. And now let's tell you, a family of 3 from Lagrange, West Bank, Demerara remains in a state of shock after 2 bandits invaded their house Thursday night, held them at gunpoint, then beat and tied them up. According to a police report, one of the victims, a 56-year-old businesswoman, was about to close her shop, and so she sent her 21-year-old nephew to lock the gate, during which time one of the armed bandits barged in at around 20 hours 30. The bandits were armed with a knife and a gun. One of them held on to the nephew and dragged him into the shop while the other rushed at the businesswoman and demanded cash and jewelry. The victim said she became fearful and started to plead with the men, asking them to have mercy. According to the police, one of the bandits took out what appeared to be a gun and put it to the victim's head and started to cuff and kick her, while the other suspect took out a knife and dealt her 2 cuts to both her thighs. An investigation is ongoing. And to wrap things up this evening, let's tell you that out of the 13,821 students who wrote the National Grade 6 Assessment examinations back in August, it was Nirvana Wimmel of Success Elementary School who was named the country's top performer at this year's exams. This was announced by the Minister of Education, Priya Manikchand, yesterday during the opening ceremony of the 2021 results at the Arthur Chung Convention Center. Wimmel secured the top position with 524 marks, 3 marks short of the highest attainable score of 527. The second place was shared by 2 candidates, Paris Timmerman of Chateau Margaux Primary and Deja Dat of New Guide School, who gained 523 marks each. And with that, we've come to the end of this evening's newscast. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening. Coming up next is a short message from the publisher of the Kaieteur News, Mr. Glenn Lal.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Fellow Guyanese, after the newscast at 12 noon every day, I am dedicating some clips with extremely important information pertaining to Guyana's future. Please, I beg you, take some time and listen to them. It is for your interest and future generations. This is a message from Glenn Lal saying thanks for listening to the Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Fellow Guyanese, this land has become super rich overnight. Guyana is on the lips of the world leaders of every country in this world. That's how rich we are. But only our leaders are numb, deaf, and dumb to these vast resources we have just discovered. Our oil. 90% of the citizens of this country has been living in dire need for the basic necessities of life. This newfound wealth should and must lift every citizen of this land to get a great life. But a great life depends on our leaders, their actions and their decisions. It is time every one of us stand up and speak up. Stand up as one and demand our God-given rightful share of our resources. Please listen to the blame game, the dancing and whining our Vice President, Bharat Jagdeo, who heads the oil sector, saying in this video.
The PSA is not a PSA that the PPP would have supported or given approval. We have commented publicly under the circumstances in which that PSA was hurriedly signed. Truckman was advised not to sign it. He got Exxon partly drafted the PSA. They handed it to him, and he was advised not to sign it, and he did sign it. And then the Global Witness said, when he was questioned by Global Witness in some newspapers, he said he was told to sign it. He has not mentioned who told him to sign it up to today. But the contract has several features that he would wish to change. Now, we have made it clear that because we don't want litigation, and that because there is in such an environment some sanctity of contracts, that we are not renegotiating the PSA for the Stabroek block. But when Exxon comes along for a PSA for Kaieteur and Kanji blocks that they are operators for, then they will have an entirely different PSA, a model PSA that we're working on now, that will correct the deficiencies of the PSA that the Stabroek Block had.
He said